Hai, Assalamualaikum semua. Kita sambungkan perbincangan kita dalam RDP bahagian kedua. Tonton video ini sampai habis. Jangan lupa ya untuk subscribe kepada YouTube channel ini. Tekan like dan tekan loceng. Sharekan video klip ini kepada teman-teman anda yang mungkin menghadapi masalah untuk memahami RDP Table. Kita sambung kita dah dapat kita dah nombor 3 emergency decompression kita dah selesai. So kita lihat sebelah bawah dia ada kata flying after diving recommendations. For dives within the no decompression limits. Maksudnya for any dives that within NDL lah. Okay. So kalau kita ada plan untuk bila kita fly ataupun kita dive overseas, and we have to look at kita punya date time of flying. Okay, kalau kita manage a group of divers and they are foreigners, so we have to make sure kita kena tanya dia bila dia punya flight balik. Kalau dia buat satu dive for that particular day, so dia punya surface interval is 12 hours before dia punya fly. To be more conservative, yang tempat yang saya bekerja dekat perhentian, dia kata 24 hours. Kata tak payah lama sangat, dia boleh lagi code dive. Kan? So dia tak nak, dia kata that's the practice, 24 hours. Itulah dia tak belajar RDP. So tapi the more conservative you are, the better lah. So kalau satu dive je 12 jam dah cukup dah before dia punya fly. It doesn't matter. Kalau ada juga case yang kata dia pergi Tenggol, dia nak cepat ataupun dia naik flight pergi ke Kota Baru dan balik. Okay. So dia kata dia buat 3 dive, lepas tu dia terus nak balik. So that kata tak boleh. Kita mesti 12 jam. Dia kata alah dekat je, Kota Baru je. Itulah masalah dia. Masalah dia bukannya distance. Masalah dia you go to the pressure group yang berbeza. You pergi kepada density air yang berbeza. Benda tu akan develop kau punya nitrogen. So tak kisahlah kau fly daripada Kota Baru ke, you fly daripada Singapore ke, the flight takes about half an hour ke. It doesn't matter as long as you fly. So kita kena check benda-benda tu. So kalau kita buat multiple dives, before we dive, it has to be 18 hours seperti nombor 4 tu. A minimum of pre-flight surface interval is greater than 18 hours is suggested. Okay, what about diving at altitude? Altitude ni ketinggian. Dekat Malaysia saya rasa tak ada. Okay, kita ada dekat Pulau Weh, kita ada altitude dive, di volcano dive. Di Lake Toba, saya tak tahu dia orang dive ke tidak. Di Lake Toba, dia punya tasik di atas gunung. So, these are altitudes. So, if you plan to do altitude dives, the RDP table is not applicable. Altitude dive ni bermaksud 300 meter above the sea level. Kalau setakat dekat apa tu tak ada hal. You still boleh guna RDP lah. Maknanya altitude ni 300 meter ke atas. We look at rules yang seterusnya dekat special rules sebelah kanan tu kan. So dia kata if you are planning 3 or more dives in a day and you found out that you are at pressure group W or X. So apa yang berlaku di sini, kalau kita dapat, kita check kita punya pressure group to W or X saja, automatically kita tak payah tengok berapa kita punya surface interval. Straight away kita punya surface interval is 1 hour. Kalau kita found out that kita punya pressure group falls under X, Y and Z, Y or Z, So immediately kita punya surface interval is 3 hours. Note dekat sini dia kata since little is known about the physiological effects of multiple dives over multiple days, divers are wise to make fewer dives and limit their exposure toward the end of a multi-day dive series. Janganlah banyak-banyak sangat. So 3 you limit your dive satu hari tu 3 dive pun dah cukup dah. 3 dives boleh buat 4. 3 longer surface interval and then you buat night dive. Macam tu. Long surface interval. You kena plan betul-betul lah. Pagi-pagi dive after breakfast like 8 o'clock. Kalau dekat Pulau Weh tu 7 dah cerah dah. 7 dah plan terus turun. And then longer surface interval, 2 hour surface interval. And then second dive. And then petang, third dive. And then long, tunggu malam-malam jangan. Pukul 7 you dah turun. Macam tu lewat sikit lagi best. Pukul 9 macam tu kan. So tak apa, janganlah macam turun naik macam tu. First, you are exhausted. Penat kan? You nak enjoy je. Okay, nama pun recreational kan. You nak enjoy. Tapi because of yang kerja-kerja masa ni sebenarnya tak fit the purpose lah. Saya tengok macam tu. Ya kan. And then you plan pergi yang deep dulu. And then baru you pergi kepada shallow. Kita nak pergi dive site mana? Jangan seberono je, sebarang je pergi turun kan. And then you without looking at the depth. The longer the deeper the depth, kita punya bottom time ni. So kita boleh maximize kita punya bottom time. So 3 dive ataupun 4 dive yang kita buat tu meaningful. Macam tu. So that's how kita plan kita punya itulah. Basically if you explain, kalau dia kata kenapa kau ni Mac ni macam cengih sangat, itu tak boleh, ni tak boleh. Tapi at the end of the day, when you explain, mereka ni akan faham. And then when you treat them well, dia kata best 3 tapi best. Nombor 7, kita pergi dekat sini, ascend from all dives at a rate not exceed to 18 meters per minute. That is the ascent rate. Kalau dia kata mana kita ada speed meter, speed apa tu kan, measurement, nak tahu berapa laju 18 meter per minute tu. Easiest way of looking at it is be a safe diver. Apa SAFE tu? Slowly ascend from every dive. Apa maksudnya 80 meters per minute? It has to be slower than your last bubble. When you go up, your eyes are looking at the surface and you can see your last bubble going before you. That is 18 meters per minute. Cakap macam tu. Relax je ni atas. Okay. Nombor 8. When planning a dive in the cold water or under conditions that might be strenuous, plan the dive assuming that depth is 4 meters. Or 10 feet deeper than actual. Tambah 4. Macam mana kita nak determine tu cold water? Cold ini cold ke? 18 tu cold ke? 20 tu cold ke? Berapa darjah Celsius? It doesn't matter. If you feel for you it's too cold, then kau tambah je 4. Do plan sendiri lah. Tapi extremely cold ni tau. Extremely cold ni maknanya ice dive tu. Yang orang pakai dry suit tu, yang ice. Itu setakat 20 macam tu tak adalah. Macam aku ni yang menggigil lah badan sebab tak ada lemak. So I have to wear like 3mm macam tu. Tapi I'm still using the RDP table to plan. Cold water dalam konteks ni adalah freezing. Nombor 9. Plan the repetitive dive so each successive dive is to a shallower depth. Limit repetitive dive to 30 meters or shallower. Avoid following a dive with a deeper dive. Maknanya kita mula daripada dalam dulu. Baru kita pergi. Kalau kita buat advance tu kan, kita ada 3 dive untuk satu hari kita nak habiskan. Semalam kita dah buat 2. So 3 dive ni. Buat yang deep dive dulu. Then only you buat fish ID. And then malam baru kita buat night dive. Nampak tak? Relax je. Orang pun tak penat. Student pun tak stress. And then in between tu kan, dia ada masa untuk dia revision, untuk dia siapkan knowledge review. So you don't violate anything. Tak payah nak kejar masuk, oh setengah jam, oh turun balik. Macam tu kan. Tak ada pun benda yang kau nak achieve. Nombor 10 di sini, do not dive below 40 meters. This is what you mentioned tadi lah. Kan, the limit is 30. Kita boleh lihat kepada latihan. So, ada yang buku yang booklet yang kecil tu tak, Mac? Do you still keep the booklet kecil? Slightly kalau kita nak check kita punya ni kan, kita punya macam mana kita nak buat calculation kan. Dia panggil dive profile. Let me share you the dive profile punya video kat sini.
Only 3 tables that connect naturally from one to the next as you plan your dives. It's basically a flow chart with the instructions built in. Whether planning one dive or many, start with Table 1. Table 1 indicates the maximum amount of time you can remain at a certain depth and how much residual nitrogen you have in your body after a dive. Let's try an example of what Table 1 can help you do. If you want to make a single dive to a reef at 15 meters, how long can you stay underwater? In Table 1, locate the depths along the top row. Since 15 does not appear, use the next greater depth. For this dive, that's 16 meters. At the bottom of the 16-meter column, you'll find the number 72 in a black box. That's the no decompression limit. This means that you can dive to 15 meters for a maximum of 72 minutes and stay within no stop limits. If you're planning to make 2 or more dives, you need to account for the residual nitrogen still in your body after each dive. Continuing with the example, let's say that on your first dive you went to 15 meters for 40 minutes. Follow the 16-meter column down until you find 40 minutes or the next higher number. In this case, that's 42 minutes. From 42, follow the row to the right, where you'll see the letter N. This is your pressure group, representing the amount of residual nitrogen in your body after the first dive. You can now use Table 2 to determine how much of that residual nitrogen leaves your body during your surface interval. Table 2 reads in hours and minutes and gives you a new pressure group based on how much nitrogen leaves your body. For our example, let's say you have a surface interval of 1 hour. Moving right along the row from N, find the box where 1 hour falls between the 2 times. Here it's a box with 1 hour to 1 hour 8 minutes. Moving down the column from that box, you get your new pressure group, D. Now you can move to Table 3 to plan your next dive. Flip the RDP table over to Table 3, which helps you determine how much residual nitrogen you have and adjust the limits of your next dive to account for it. What's neat is it does this by converting your pressure group into a residual nitrogen time for each depth. Let's say your next dive will be to 13 meters. Along the left side of Table 3, locate the depth of your planned dive. If you don't see the exact depth, use the next greater number. In this example, that's 14 meters. Follow the row to the right until you're under your new pressure group, D, which you determined after the surface interval. There are 2 numbers in this box. 22 is your RNT, residual nitrogen time, and 76 is your adjusted no decompression limit. The adjusted NDL is in blue, like it's in water, or the amount of time you can stay underwater. For this repetitive dive to 13 meters, your maximum no-stop time is 76 minutes. If you're planning additional repetitive dives, you'll need a new pressure group at the end of your second dive. To do this, you'll use the actual bottom time from your dive, as well as the residual nitrogen time in white from Table 3. Let's say that you stayed underwater for 50 of the 76 minutes allowed no stop time. This is your actual bottom time. To determine your new pressure group following the second dive, add your RNT, which is 22, to your actual bottom time, which is 50, for a total bottom time of 72 minutes. You can remember this by using the memory device RAT, or residual nitrogen time plus actual bottom time equals total bottom time. Flip back to Table 1 to find your new pressure group. Locate the repetitive dive depth.
Kita tengok tadi berapa 15 meter. Lepas tu kita pergi 72 minit. That is your last pressure group. Okay, now that is actually how kita tengok kita buat kita punya what you call it, the dive profile.
Okay, question number 1, Table 1. A dive to 13 meter for 1 hour, yell what pressure group?
30 meters, 1 hour. Okay.
For 1 hour.
30 meters, bottom time dia 60 minutes. So, you explain. How are you going to... sekarang ni dia nak tahu berapa soalan dia apa? Berapa pressure group dia kan?
Soalan dia, dia nak tahu pressure group saja.
So, macam mana? So, you try to explain.
First, kita akan tengok pada dia punya depth lah. Depth yang dikatakan sini adalah 13 meter. So, 13 meter tak ada, kita akan ambil 14. So, for 1 hour, kita akan turun ke bawah. Untuk tengok masa, dia akan pergi ke 1 hour is 60 minit. So, tak ada 60 minit, so dia akan jadi 61. So, the pressure group is Q.
Ya. Senang kan? So, Q lah. Q jawapan dia. Okay. Okay. Next. Question number 3. Kita pergi kepada question number 3 lah. Susah sikit.
Okay, question number 3 pun sama tadi. A dive to 18 meters for 40 minutes. What is the pressure group?
18. Turun 40.
18,
Itu tak ada.
10, so jadi 41, dia jadi P.
Ya.
Pressure group P.
Okay. Next, kita pergi kepada exercise table 2, page 14 kan?
13.
13. Okay. Page 13. Tengok, baca nombor 1. Exercise number 1.
After a dive, table 1 show you a pressure group J. What will your new pressure group be after a 32 minutes surface interval?
Okay.
After a dive, table 1 show you a group J. What will your new pressure group after 32 minutes surface interval?
So, kita mula dekat mana?
So kita akan mulakan daripada table 1, pressure group J. Okay, J. And then surface interval for 32 minutes. Pergi ke table 2, 42 minutes. Tak ada.
Siapa kata tak ada?
32 minutes. 32 minutes. So, new pressure group will be E.
Senang. So, daripada J, lepas dia rehat 32 minit, dia turun kepada E. Nampak tak? Kenapa dia tak turun kepada A? Sebab kau stay 32 minit, cuba kau stay lama. Kan? So, soalan ni yang kenapa tu yang you have to should be able to explain lah. Kenapa 32 minit jadi E? Sebab nitrogen tu dah keluar. Kenapa dia tak turun A? Kenapa? Sebab kau tak turun 32, sebab kau 32 minit, cuba kau stay longer. Kau dapatlah A. So when you explain kat sini, J. Kalau J, cuba kau stay 2 hours. Kau dapatlah A. So that's how you explain lah. Okay, proceed to question number 3.
Question number 3. A diver in pressure group I will be in what new pressure group after a surface interval of 4 hours? A diver of group I after 1 hour. After 4 hours. After 4 hours will be group A.
Group A. Senang. Okay, nampak tak? 4 jam kot. 4 jam kau dah definitely you dah kalau nak ikutkan calculation lah, the nitrogen has already been flushed out dah. Tapi ini semua based on calculation, dia tak based on setiap individu punya physiological punya ability lah. Kan ada badan-badan tu, ada tubuh-tubuh seseorang tu mungkin makan masa yang lebih lama. Tetapi secara konservatifnya 4 jam dah turun kepada A lah.
Table 3, question 1.
Ya.
If you are in pressure group K after your surface interval and you are planning a dive 18 meters, what is your adjusted non-stop decompression limit?
Okay, apa soalan tu nak?
Soalan ni dia nak dia punya adjusted ABT.
Selepas dia punya
Adjusted dia daripada group K, kemudian dia nak dive pada 18 meter.
kita check biru ke
Yes,
putih?
that is biru. Sebab untuk yang adjusted yang boleh diubah adalah yang warna biru. Yang 30 tu baki nitrogen dalam badan.
So, apa explanationnya? Apa maksud dia sekarang ni?
Maksud dia sekarang ni yang 26 ni adalah kalau kita punya residual nitrogen time campur dengan kita punya actual bottom time tak boleh lebih daripada 26 minit.
Or, you can
Jam.
betul lah tu. Or your explanation would be kalau kita dah ada kalau first dive kita dekat K, kita nak pergi 18 minit, maknanya kita boleh kalau nak pergi 18 meter, kita hanya boleh turun 26 minit je. 26 minit dah kita kena naik atas. Macam itulah. That's how you explain. Kalau you nak longer, maknanya kita pergi 16 meter. Kalau 16 meter K, kita boleh stay 36 minit. Looking at the table. 16 meter K 38 minit. Macam itulah. That's how you explain.
Soalan nombor 3. If you are in pressure group M after a surface interval, what is the residual nitrogen time if you are planning a repetitive dive to 18 meters? So group M dia punya RNT, berapa RNT untuk 18 meter? Group M 18 meter RNT is 34.
RNT je dia nak tahu. Maksudnya apa?
Maksudnya dia nak tahu berapa kandungan last nitrogen yang ada dalam badan selepas kita buat surface interval.
Ya, betul. Maknanya 14 minit diperlukan untuk kita punya nitrogen tu keluar. Tu je yang layman term.